thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Life
thanks
is
for
Wood.
Thanks for having us.
Well, how was the journey down?
It was good.
Yeah, it was good. A couple of stops for a few calls and meetings and service stations as per usual, but nothing that isn't normal.
There wasn't any like major traffic, which was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Good
you guys have definitely travelled the furthest for the podcast, so you guys get that award from us, I think 100%.
It's okay, we enjoy it.
And for those that don't know who you are, tell us a bit about yourself, what you guys do.
Yeah, so we're Kate and Jack, and we independently publish a magazine that tells maker stories from all over the world. And in the last, 16 months, we also started a podcast where we travel to makers' workshops and share their story via podcast. So it's been a fun 5 years next month, which is crazy.
Oh my God,
Time
happy
flies.
almost anniversary of it.
Yes, it's exciting, but it's been a fun journey so far, hasn't it?
It has indeed, yeah. It's taken us a lot of very, very cool places, met a lot of very cool people, and yeah, can't really ask for much more.
Yeah.
What made you start the journey?
Well, I was a maker myself, so it kind of like came from there. When we finished university, I didn't really want to go and get myself a job. I kind of thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I've always enjoyed doing furniture and things like that. So I thought, well, I'm going to try starting my own business, and I did that for about 3 years, and I really struggled trying to tell my own story out with Scotland, And after running my own business, I've done other things between that. Jack was working down south at the time, and then I joined you. And I wanted to, what else? I was doing other things and realised that...
Yeah, so Kate had taken her own furniture business and then went to work for a furniture business in London, because I was working down south at the time. And the furniture business there, it was very clear that what was so attractive to you about furniture making was that you could do your own thing. That's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do in a world where, and any woodworker that's listening to this, I'm sure they'll agree, when you've got a world like IKEA and you've got a world of lower cost furniture, which all has its place, but you're then trying to sell something that's your time, your materials, your finishes, your shipping. Like, how do you boost all that into a price and then tell the customer, yes, it is X more than insert high street name here, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And that really comes from telling your backstory, because that's what we buy from. We buy from people, we buy from experience, we buy from, if you're hiring someone to do something, you're not hiring them for the hours they do it, you're hiring them from the lifetime of hours to make them be able to do it in that time. So I kind of got this through the looking glass at what Kate was going through. Kate and I were together long before she came to London, long before she was a furniture maker, and I could kind of see this through that lens, which was quite interesting in the fact that I wasn't feeling the pain as such, but I could see the pain and see how much it weighed down on a maker and a professional maker, because that's what you were at the time. So you came down to work in film.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've told this story, and every time I say it differently, I'm like, where do I start? Because I've done so much. It's kind of like, how do you condense your story, into such a...
So you came down to work in film, because I was working on a big film at the time. And Kate's very, very experienced in woodworking machinery, which was very translatable into metalworking machinery, and we need a metalwork machine runner for a CNC plasma cutter at the time. So Kate came onto our crew to do that.
It's like, can't be that much more different than wood, right?
And we really just banked that money with the knowledge that we knew we wanted to do something to solve that problem that Kate had encountered and so many maker friends had encountered. The same problem that came up at dinner most nights, the same problem, It wouldn't have fulfilled us to kind of continue with our career path without going back and solving that initial problem. So we set out to do it. We agreed we'd give it 5 years, which it'll be May the 1st, it'll be 5 years. We'd give it 5 years.
And then we realised
I was supposed to be working full. We basically decided one of us would go full time on it. One of us would continue to work full time. I actually stepped away from my full time job early, because We Are Makers can stand on its own 2 feet now. So I stepped away from my full-time job maybe 18 months ago. Late November, early December 22. And we've been doing We Are Makers full-time since.
Oh, was going to ask that. I was going to say, is this full time, or do you have things going on in the background? But now
this is full time.
This is our livelihood now, which is a bit scary, but at the same time, it's
very fulfilling, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, it must be crazy to see something like literally just It's almost like you give birth to it and then you just see it grow up.
People are like, it's like our baby, if you say, you know what I mean?
It is. That's crazy. Yeah. So you worked in TV and film and obviously furniture, so both very creative backgrounds. Was it always going to be creative? Did you always know you'd both work in creative fields?
Yeah, we both studied product design. We both came out
That's where we met.
Oh, lovely.
Both came out of Edinburgh Napier with a product design degree. And both went very different routes with that. I then studied a mechanical engineering degree. You pursued hands-on learning with your furniture business, and credit to Kate, threw herself hands first, knee deep in just doing it yourself, which was awesome. So yeah, I think it would have, and if it wouldn't have been We Are Makers and we didn't have this incessant problem that we wanted to solve, it would have been something else creative, whether we'd have, gone and built tiny houses or shepherd huts or something.
Hands,
it wouldn't have always been TV and film for me, and it wouldn't have always been, or it may have always been furniture. There would be more likelihood, had we not come up against the problems we had, that I would have went into the furniture making with Kate full time than anything else. And then the We Are Makers was just a problem that needed solve, and it was in the creative field, and it allowed us to be very creative with the way we solved it.
Yeah, that's great. I suppose most successful businesses are from those that solve problems. So you guys have really got to the root of it.
It is it was a huge task, and one that we didn't take lightly. We knew that it was, we were still creating a new business. We still had to create that platform, which is not easy. But I think now over the 5 years, we're starting to see that it is making an impact somewhere, and it is going to take another 5, maybe another 10 years. But like this, we feel like we're just getting started now, even though we've put all the groundwork in, but now it's just like built the foundations.
Give it 5 years, and now it became very clear at the end of year 4 that we should have said 10 years.
Yeah, it's hard though, isn't it? I suppose, but then I met you guys when you were at your first and second edition, and now your 10th is coming out. So I've seen you grow massively, seen the brand grow, and it's just it's so cool and so lovely to watch. And I think I saw you guys are now in 40, because obviously there's a few sides to it. So we'll take the first one first, which is the magazine. Is a coffee table magazine? Is that how it's termed?
Yeah.
How was the journey into the publishing world?
Mental.
I can imagine.
Mental. Anyone that tells you to start a magazine to make money is a liar. Straight up. So we don't have any publishing background.
No, it very much took a lot of research. Like, where do you start to go to print it? Like copywriting, design, shipping. What else?
How do you get it in the closed doors of traditional publishing?
Which is so difficult.
Like, how do you get it into the Barnes and Nobles of the world, which I'm very pleased to say we're in Barnes and Noble now, we're in WH Smith and all the airports, we're all these places, but they are very closed door places traditionally, especially for a small independent magazine. But I think the real reason for the magazine, we're talking to people that do real life things. We need to do a real life thing. We could have easily gone and set up a blog and talked to people and had a very, very low expenditure business, but it doesn't have the same impact as a real life thing. And also the kind of people that find a blog or the kind of people that find videos and find the podcast are people that are actively looking for the creative people. With a magazine, you have this, and I don't really think it's possible to do with anything else, but you have this really unique ability to slide a physical product in front of someone. We're trying to get it at the moment. We're talking to Lufthansa, British Airways about getting into their lounges because it's in front of people. It looks good. So people, travellers with those lounges, they are well-off people, will be picking it up, will be discovering makers. And they're the kind of people that can afford to buy from these makers. So the magazine, for us, simply just had to be something physical and tangible to represent the tangible things that the people we were talking to were doing. But
and from a product design background, it had to be a nice, beautiful thing because we wanted it to be a product that someone will sit down and read and keep. It's not just going to be something that goes in the bin afterwards.
Which has been a very hard journey, but it has afforded the mission of getting more maker stories told a lot of leverage because it's a physical thing you can just put in front of people.
It's so cool. And obviously I've seen it. I don't know, has the design changed since it, from each one? Have they changed a bit? It's gone and you've noticed what works, what doesn't, and then you've gone with that.
Yeah, we're kind of going, we're kind of going down that editorial route now.
Yeah.
Rather than more like the book style, it's we now quarterly rather than biannual. So 4 times a year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
It is, but I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of manage 4 times a year. It's but yeah, it has changed. There's a lot more personality. Like we're putting ourselves more into that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Starting with the 11th edition, we are actually going out to places to write. So it's always been, initially it was like snippets of maker stories, and then it became, as we grew more respect in the space, makers would give us more and more time.
Yeah.
So there were bigger, longer stories. And then obviously we went quarterly. With going quarterly, we can be more time dependent, I suppose you'd call it. We're covering an event in Australia for the 11th edition, which will be a big 16-page spread, and we're looking to do more of that going forward. So later this year, we're hopefully going back over to America, visas permitting. We're going to see some great people over there, from saddle makers to bootmakers to woodworkers to all sorts, and we'll be doing write-ups in the magazine about that. Rather than just the makers' stories, it'll also incorporate more of what we are doing and our write-ups on those people. In the same way the podcast does, is our conversations with those people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because as we were saying earlier, before the camera was on, it becomes about you in the end, and then people buy into you guys.
Exactly.
So it's nice to have that element to it as well. And is it all makers that can be featured in there? Is it anyone that makes, or is it particularly like crafting or wood, or it's everyone?
I mean, it's a wide variety of different crafts. We try to keep that, variety in every edition from different countries as well. I think one of the thing we say is that
The stipulation,
is full time or trying to be full time.
Oh yeah, okay.
We just don't have enough pages or enough time to cover everybody, so it really has to be, we have to prioritise the people who need it most.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's outbound PR. That's what a magazine is. A magazine article is outbound PR for someone. It's a chance for someone's story to get in front of thousands and thousands of people in a printed format, and we need to be respectful of the people that are giving it their everything. That's the people we try and concentrate on.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, has it changed now? Because I imagine when you started, it's like with everything, you're approaching people. But I imagine now people are approaching you to be featured, all the time. So it must be
quite
hard trying
overwhelming.
to, I can't remember the word, it's cipher through, is the term?
Yeah.
Cipher through,
and
see what...
And
it's really difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
At the start, of course, we are in the UK, so we have a lot of UK makers, but now it really is kind of all over. And like yesterday, we had a Instagram call.
The most wholesome call with Clay of Lagos. Everyone should check him out on Instagram. A Nigerian guy, still living in the village he was born into, from everything I know, and called him on Instagram and just asked him if he wanted to be in the magazine.
He's like, I'd love to.
We sat and chatted for half an hour, and then I've got some questions to get over him, and then I'll write a piece on him, and it's everywhere. So we've done...
It's lovely.
Yeah, he really appreciated, he says, I'm really trying to find places where I can put myself out there, and for you to approach me like, this is what I need, and that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's really good. So with edition 10, it'll, in print alone, not including the podcast or the documentaries or the socials and all the rest of it, in print alone we'll have covered 383 makers from 41 different countries. Who knows how many different languages, who knows how many different cities and towns. I can't fathom it, to be honest. We've always talked about in the office, just getting, that map wallpaper?
Yeah.
And just start putting ping,
a scratch. I suppose it'd be hard. Yeah. But that is crazy, and I feel like it adds such a diversity to the making world, because all I see mostly on Instagram is people from, I suppose it's obvious thing, but UK and USA. Yeah. So we don't really see much from other countries. I know that we're Ruby and Monaco, UK, so obviously you'd know in Ireland. But it's nice to see to get the other countries out and to see who's making and what everyone's doing, because everyone learns from each other as well. So. And
that's another real benefit of doing it in the magazine format, is that you don't know what you're getting when you turn the page. Yeah. There is no algorithm. This is fully detached from an algorithm. Yeah. This is Kate and I's choice. Like people are buying our choice of makers, and our responsibility in that is to make good choices, right? To be very diverse in who we're speaking to, pick people from. You do a fantastic job of like spreading out who we spoke to. So if there's like, say 5 or 10 UK people, spreading them out across various editions, because we know we're doing the next edition and the next edition, it's much easier to do.
To plan, yeah. So, yeah.
Whereas, when you look at social medias, you will...
It's just overwhelming,
I would say 80%
isn't it?
of the people you'll find will be US, then UK, then Australian.
Yeah.
It's
just the way it is.
The way it is, yeah.
And I suppose, I love that, detached from the algorithm. That is that's a key backup in that headline. Yeah, that's a big...
There's a bit of marketing there, isn't there? Get that on the Facebook ads.
Yeah, I was going to say put it on Instagram, but I don't know if that's feeding into it. So you've been... Well, I imagine you spoke to people in different countries and you've been all over. What's been the most interesting place you visited?
Oh.
And then you know what question will come after, which will probably be more difficult.
It's a hard one. For me, so our pal, I'm going to say our pal Tim.
Tim
and Tracy in Canton, Georgia, in the USA.
This,
yeah. So Tim was like a avid follower, not, what do you call him, kind of just kept behind, just to support everything we did, liked it, shared it. And then one day he was like, I really...
Never submitted his story to be on it.
No.
Like, just loved what we were doing.
Yeah.
Wasn't bothered about being on the podcast or in the book.
Yeah,
just kind of, he was just
loved our mission.
always there. We always seen his name pop up.
Yeah.
And he messaged us one day to say, I want to make you a pen. So he's a pen maker. He makes everything, like the nibs, everything from scratch.
By the way, the engineering that goes into pens, if anyone that's listening to this hasn't checked out professional custom pen makers, is wild.
It is a niche in
So
itself. They do massive big shows in the US about it as well. It's
Oh my
crazy.
God.
All the
It's
pen
mega.
makers come
It's
together.
mega.
It's mega. So anyway, he said, I want to make you a pen. I was just a bit like, really? You want to make us a pen? And he was like, yeah, I've already decided what I'm doing. What was the material we used?
Cellulose. Cellulose? Yeah, cellulose.
Yeah, it's very expensive material.
Yeah, you're not talking like a couple £100 for a pen. You're talking $1,500 to $5,000 a pen.
Yeah.
You know.
I know,
I
right?
feel like that's a world
It's a cool world, though. It is
Like,
a cool
I'm in the
world.
wrong business.
Yeah.
1,500. I suppose that's like big. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go look into it.
Yeah, you need to. And the actual nib, what do you call it? Not the nib, but the clip. Sorry, he engraved our logo into it, and he says, I'll make it and I'll show you all the different steps. And I was like, oh, this guy's making us a pen. Like, what did I say to that? Anyway, he'd made it for us, and he was like, I'm going to send it to Scotland. And I was like, I feel like that's such a big thing you did for us. I want to go and come and collect it from you. So that was kind of like...
Yeah, this isn't like a day's work. To make a pen's like a solid week's work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
so
we're like...
we couldn't just accept that over postal and never speak to him.
Oh, this must have been like January, and I was like, we've got to tell this guy's story in the magazine as well. So we were like, right, well, we're going to share your story. So that's a given. But I said to Jack, why don't we just go to US and collect for him, and why don't we take our podcast over there as well and do like a podcast with him? Jack was like, great idea. This was January, and then by March we were already in America. So we literally just said, let's go, let's do it.
Yeah, it was late January,
Yeah.
mid-January maybe, and then we landed in March 14th, I think, or 10th, March 10th. We landed in the States.
And that's where it all kind of like our travelling podcast came to light. And I think that for me was there, Canton, Georgia, for me is where I feel like it's been my favourite place to be, just because of the memories, but like they're such great people.
Every fortnight we'll be on Zillow, which is right move for the US, looking at houses in Canton, Georgia. It's become a common joke.
Yeah, so just like they've become like second family to us now. You know, it's just like these
lovely.
connections that we've got from We Are Makers has been incredible. And edition 6, he was on the front cover with his hands and his pen, and he was a cop for 30 years in the USA, like a hard job, and then he all just decided that he's always had this creative streak and he wanted to start making pens. I mean, like what? Like the stories that you get from some of these makers are just like, wow. Like they've
introduced us to his friend Paul Hamler as well.
Yeah, we did a podcast with Paul.
Paul Hamler's a very intelligent, in some ways unassuming, in some ways very assuming because of how intelligent he is. He basically buys massive bits of machinery, strips them all down and makes tiny versions of them, and that's his whole business and his fame that surrounds that. And you're podcasting him, and he's like, I used to work with Big Blue, IBM.
Yeah.
And then I finished with NASA, so I took early retirement at NASA, and I'm like, what?
It's so like blasé.
Yeah.
I work for NASA, you know.
Yeah, and you're just like, what?
I'm not a rocket.
And then, I mean, you've got Weldon Lister, who... engraver, who 18, 19, so his dad was a master engraver, who taught him to engrave. And then 18, 19, he was engraving guns for Texas Rangers and stuff. And Ben, the saddle maker, who kind of ex-army. You got Chris, who's current. Oh, everybody. I mean, Bryony, not far from here. Holly, who's featured in edition 1, who was over for your birthday just this weekend.
Yeah, so like the community that we've built around We Are Makers is not just like, we'll feature you once and never speak to you again. It's literally, they have become friends, which is just amazing.
It sounds like you've built like a full like family.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a life. I think it's a lifestyle business, isn't it? Like this is absolutely our life.
Yeah.
And for better or for worse, it's everything we do. And I don't think, for me, I mean, I know you love Canton, Georgia. For me, I don't think I've got a favourite, like I love just being on the move.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got a favourite person because everyone's so unique. I've definitely not got a favourite place, but I do love being on the move.
Yeah.
We're better on the
Constantly being
road.
on the move.
100%.
Yeah, it's
There's
good.
a lot of places I'd like to go to though. There's a couple of cool makers in
We've
Nigeria.
talked about selling our house and just getting a backpack and just
That's the dream.
but we're not that
dream.
confident enough yet to do that.
Yeah.
We've got a dog,
I would
so.
in a heartbeat. I would in an absolute heartbeat. But maybe a bit irresponsible.
Yes, yeah, it would absolutely be responsible.
That would be. And what would be your dream dream maker? Do you have a dream maker in mind? Someone that you want?
Would like to go to Japan and see some of like the old school like
Oh yeah,
craft.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
that would
I'm
be-
fascinated by Japanese culture, especially in the making world.
Yeah.
How we do that, I don't know. I've been learning Japanese Duolingo
Yeah.
app.
You know how to say rice,
I
water.
can ask for rice and water, and that's about it at the moment. And tell someone they're a good teacher, and that is literally about it at the minute.
Duolingo's like that though. It's like the bear has green eyes, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, okay.
yeah,
I might use
exactly,
that.
right? So,
I might use that in real
but I
life.
think I would love to go over there with a translator. There's some amazing makers in Seoul.
Yeah.
And there's also, we've found a little pocket of phenomenal people in Africa. A couple of really good Nigerian people. Who was the woman you featured in? There's 4 or 5 of them in edition 2 or 3.
Jack.
They were
You've
like
got
weaving
such a good
baskets.
memory.
There's like arts and the creative industries, I think when you really start to look deep is, for us, it's a cool thing. Like for us, it's
Yeah.
like a cool thing and it's a really cool career path. In some areas in the world, it is elevating people out of poverty. And that is a side of creative craft that I would really like to explore.
Yeah, because I suppose there's the it's 2 parts to it. It's your business is getting people, well, already inspiring people that are in it, and then getting people inspired as well. And I think having that element to it is crazy, very impressive. Makes me want to just give up everything and go on the road. I'm already saying it.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's the thing. You guys must be insanely busy. How do you manage it all? How do you manage?
We don't.
That's normally the answer.
Yeah, it is full on at the minute, isn't it? Like there's too many things we want to do with not a big budget. Like we literally we used all our savings to do this. So basically we're just trying to work month by month at the minute. Seeing what projects come up. Obviously the magazine's every 4 months.
Yep.
So print is expensive.
Yeah, it's
Like,
only going up as well.
yeah. How much did print go up by, like, with the paper?
Between edition 1 and edition 2, our print cost went up by 123%.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and at that point
This is
we're
a
like,
post-COVID thing, right?
how do we navigate such like a price hike?
Yeah, and I'd say after that, it's gone up probably on average 18 to 22% every single.
Going up.
Yeah.
Why is it? It's just just cost of things go up.
A lot of paper
So
comes
that's
from...
just out of the podcast. Just
I know.
A lot of paper comes from Eastern Europe. And Eastern Europe's not in the best of places at the minute. So
Yeah, so everything's going up.
But it's just, there's so many different things we want to do, and it's trying to just narrow down, trying to not do too much that you can only do everything, so well.
Yeah. We spent the first 5 years doing this, right? For anyone listening, getting wider, getting bigger.
Yeah.
And now it's hone that in.
Yeah.
What are the things
the first 5
we
years
can do?
gaining an audience? What are the things we can do well? And what are the things that need to drop? And they're just honest conversations you have to have with yourself. Like, what are the things that just need to go? And I think for anybody else that is a maker or that's listening to this, that's got a creative business, like, you have to have those honest conversations with yourself. What's not working? Even if they're things you really like, what's not working? Because it needs to go. Which is a hard conversation to have.
And you've had some really good newsletters in the past couple of months.
We've doubled down on our newsletters.
Yeah.
I think they're the biggest lever for any business, a newsletter.
Yeah.
Because they are your customers and they want to hear from you. And if social media goes, you've still got that.
Yeah.
Which is a really important thing. So we really you've done a lot of work on your newsletter, just trying to what things have we learned that we can not advise on, but say our experience, and a lot of people have taken a lot from that.
Try not to be preachy or advicey. And recently, 3 weeks ago, we changed to a 3-2-1 method for our newsletter. So 3 maker stories, 2 things we are working on, and 1 thing we've learnt that other creative businesses can implement.
Nice.
And it's really interesting looking at the analytics of that and where people have clicked through. Like, there is a large portion of people that just follow us to find out more about other makers.
Yeah.
Amazing, that's why we're here. There is a large portion of people that read about what we're doing. Amazing, that's a lot of brand loyalty that I see that as.
Yeah.
And then there is still a big portion of people that click on the bottom link and, what have you learned? What can I implement in my business? Which is great to be able to be in a position where I would never be one of those Instagram, follow my course, buy my course. It just does not appeal to me in the slightest. But it is great to know that we've learned something, because we've had to learn so much to do this.
Yeah.
That we've learned something that other people can take something from.
Yeah.
Which leads me, you segued very nicely into my next question. It's almost planned. What would be your one tip for those wanting to start a business? Your one golden tip?
Go all in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just start, because you'll just be thinking about it for, you could have started it a year ago and wish you'd,
Find someone to bounce ideas off as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be one golden tip. I think one doesn't come without the other. I think you have to go all in, and we work together. Even when I was still working full time and you were on this full time, we still bounced a lot off each other. That's all we talked about.
Yeah.
And yeah. And you need that. You need to either have friends or other people that you're like, this is what I need. I got a friend who works in a completely different industry, and every weekend we call and he's like, did you do that this weekend? Or did you do that this weekend? And that's really important, especially in a creative business, because it's so easy to chase the next shiny object.
Yeah.
And what was that newsletter you did not that long ago about you can do anything but you can't do everything, which is a really good one, because you can have all these ideas but actually you can only do 1 or 2.
Yeah.
With a maker you could make all these different products, but actually doing all that can just, confuse your customers also. When you're I don't really know what you do. You just do a lot of different things, but
simplicity sells.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what you just said a moment ago, that you can't do everything. You have to. It's good to do 2 things really well.
Yeah.
I think they say that when you're starting social media, start with 2 channels. Maybe don't go for everything,
Yes.
or start doing newsletters. But you guys are in a good enough place now to be able to manage everything.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, we're on almost every channel. I think 10 social media channels, of which 2 of them, Instagram and Threads, are our main concentration.
Yeah.
The rest of them
And YouTube.
are... And YouTube, sorry.
Yeah, you must
I almost don't consider YouTube as a social media, because it's not that short form content. It's a channel, right?
Yeah.
But so we really, the Instagram, Threads and YouTube, but all the other social medias are just posting, reposting stuff. And the reason for that is mainly just to hold the space.
Yeah.
Just keep a hold of the space, make sure your domain's attached to the space.
Yeah, that everything's up to date.
Yeah.
Which is hard, and you know, social media is like a full-time job, and we try to tell that to makers as well, like just show up and enjoy it rather than it having to be a chore.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes a chore, you just don't do it. So if you can just use that social media channel to be there's quite a few makers we go on to and I'm just, I want to see what they're up to.
Yeah.
And they come onto their stories, tell us what they're doing for the day, what they've got going on, and it's just a really nice way to connect with your customer or community, because they're buying into you at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
You can also tailor out the things you don't like about social media. Like anyone that doesn't know, you can hit the 3 dots, don't show me this account.
Yeah.
I do that so much. Because there's stuff I don't want to see, right? We've got a very clear niche that we want to look at as makers. So anything that's like some viral nonsense, like, don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Also, Threads at the moment is wicked.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Threads
big
is
avid
just
user
full of lovely
Threads.
people.
It's
No,
good. It's
we-
like Twitter or X now, a bit like that. Yeah.
Full of good folk though.
Yeah, we were over in the States at the time when it came out, and we must have been like, I don't know, what number were we? We're like in the thousands.
We were in the like, I think it was just under 400,000 or something.
And I was so excited. I was like, this is a platform that we need, like just like a text-based platform where you connect with other people.
Yeah.
And the vibe on it was great. And then it kind of dipped off a bit. Everybody was like, this is boring.
Bang now.
But now it's just like on its way up again. Like we shared a post on Threads to say like, who are you? Where are you? What do you do? Come join, like share your work. And it got thousands of people just sharing
I
the
think when I
work.
last checked, it was just under 1,800 comments.
Yeah, and it was just like the amount of engagement on there was crazy, and we found some really cool makers from there.
Who
and
will
other
be
people
featured in the
finding
next
each
3 or 4
other.
editions.
Oh.
You know, like a paper maker was connected with an illustrator, and they're like, "Oh, I want to use your paper," and it's just like why would you not?
You see these
Oh
little
my
silos
God.
start
Yeah.
happening within the comments, and it's great.
Yeah,
It's
because they always
absolutely
do it on
fantastic.
Instagram now. They have like the little bit, and it always tempts me. It has like, does a thread, like, it knows me so well. Something that makes me, I'm going to click on it, and I'm like, oh, but I've got to download it. So I'm like infuriated. But I think you guys have officially convinced me, and I will follow
very
you on
good.
Threads.
Yeah,
But I think we have it for Rubio. Personally, I don't have it, but I think we have it, so we must follow because it just automatically
it just
automatically
brings you-
starts following, which is even better.
It's
I
really
think.
handy. It's just you described it the other day. What was it? It's like, was it you that described it, or did you show me a post? I can't remember. It's like Threads is just where you post the stuff that's running through your head without thinking about it,
Yeah.
and it's wicked for that.
I love that.
You don't have to spend all day thinking, what am I going to post today?
Yeah, because
Just like get it out there.
Yeah, a big like that. I suppose you guys have met with many makers and spoken to them in person and oh my God, I can't speak online. Is there a trait among them that you can identify that makes them a successful maker? Is there something that stands out for successful? So someone that wants to get into making, what is, I guess, a good trait? I don't know if that question fully makes sense. It just came to me.
No, it does.
Tenacity.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of space in the world to stick your head above the parapet of everybody else sticking their head above the parapet. You need to be really, really tall to stand out. And it's just tenacity. Tenacity, which is hand in hand with consistency.
Yeah.
If you can do that, if you can be the kind of person that makes your thing, posts your thing, tells the world about your thing in X different ways, if you can do that every single day for 100 days without thinking about what's coming back of it, you will see a return.
Yeah.
I would...
And just showing up.
Yeah.
Showing up.
Yeah.
Just showing up.
Yeah. And do it for 100 days. Don't just do it for 10 days, 20 days, thinking, like, do it for 100 days. You can't do anything at the minute online to put your business out in less than 100 days. I don't think.
Well, it's been proven somewhere.
Yeah.
In one of the books.
Yeah, one of the books that
One of
we've
the
read.
books, aye.
Yeah, but I think that would definitely be the one.
Yeah, I think you need tenacity. I mean, don't get me wrong, tenacity can't outweigh creativity. Like, you do need to have an innate creativity inside yourself, but just to be creative, unfortunately, is not enough right now.
Yeah.
And you guys started a podcast, and you said you've on your sixth. Is it? How many podcasts?
76.
76 is in the bank. Between this week and next week, we'll be at 80.
What made you start the podcast?
What was our first podcast, actually? It was Rapture and Right. Yeah. Where are they from here?
Rapture and Right are Cotswolds.
Cotswolds. And I don't know, I think we had the magazine nailed and we're like, what can we do in the digital space that will complement the magazine?
Yeah.
Like, got to be a podcast. Like, how else can we share the maker story?
We're pretty anti-short form.
Yeah.
We're
It
pretty
becomes that
anti-short
way
form
now.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'd seen a few maker podcasts, but they'd all been online. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just travel to people's workshops and do it there? Because, you know, being able to watch the podcast as well, like you're doing now, it's like you can see the emotions and everything else that goes with it, and you can see the workshop, you can see the space, and people can connect with that. So we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get the kit. You spend a couple of weeks just like, what kit can you get that you can travel with, which is something now that we've got nailed. But we're like, we've got to share more stories, and that has to be podcasts.
Yeah.
It's a natural progression, especially for what you guys do. You've got the magazine, then you've got the YouTube, you've got long form video, and then the podcast. They all complement each other so well. They all just make up the business.
And we've obviously featured some people in the magazine, and we've gone on to do a podcast, which is quite nice because you're getting you're getting a deeper understanding of like who they are and what they do, and you know, you connect differently with that. So
different way to get attention, I suppose. Do you have an ideal? I know we said about meeting makers, the ideal maker. Do you have an ideal podcast guest? Because could it be, I guess, anyone in the makers sphere or outside the maker? Do you have an ideal guest?
I don't know if we have an ideal guest. Sometimes it's on us as a podcast host to get the best out of people. The ideal guest is, of course, someone that makes their life easy. Someone that you're like, so who are, and then they just give it all. Like that's of course the absolute ideal. But in saying that, sometimes people that are a bit shyer and don't want to talk as open, you get some really, really good stuff out of them. You just have to work really hard for it, which I certainly don't mind working. Our rule with the podcast is it's their podcast, we're just bringing the kit. Give us a thread to pull on and we'll keep pulling.
Yeah, I love it because when I interview, we mostly do like woodworkers. And they're always like, oh, we're so introverted. But as soon as they start speaking about their passion, it's like, I'm like, are you sure? And afterwards, I'm like, have you done this before? They're like, no. I'm like, you're very good at it. Like people, when you start speaking about what you love, it becomes easy. It's like listening to you guys talk about what you do. It's just, it flows so nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that passionate people again. And again, it still comes back to that full-time people or people that are trying to make it full-time. That really is the only stipulation.
Speaking to makers encourages other makers. Like they get a lot from that because we've had so many people tag us on Instagram saying, oh, I'm just listening to the We Are Makers podcast while I'm working and it's giving me a lot of information and advice and tips and motivation. I'm like, yeah, that's another aspect to the podcast. It's not just telling their story to, I don't know, people who may want to buy their stuff. It's to other makers who can be like, oh, I'm not doing this alone. There's somebody who's struggling just as much as me, or there's somebody who's, doing something I'm doing, or, It's
very rare that the problem one maker, or even ourselves, is up against. It's very, very rare that you're the only person up against that problem.
But sometimes it feels like you are, but you definitely
always,
aren't.
Yeah, you live a lot of time in your own head, don't you?
Yeah.
A lot of time in your own head. And I suppose, do you have any tips for those wanting to do what you've done very successfully to create like their passion into their career?
Accept that it's going to be your life.
Yeah.
It's going to be everything that you do.
Yeah.
Kate and I are married, been married a number of years now, been together 13 years. And for the past 5 years, this has been everything we've done. Now, I wouldn't change that, but had we gone in under false pretense thinking this wouldn't be everything we ever done and that actually we'd be doing it Monday to Friday 9 till 5, it would have failed drastically.
All the time, 24/7.
Dreaming about it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We sit down at dinner and we try to think of something outside work and we're like, nah, because we love it so much. So why would we talk about anything else,
So good. It's like the trifecta. Is it the Japanese? The trifecta of like you love what you do, your job, and everything becomes one. It seems like you're achieving.
There's like 3 or 4 Japanese things. I always get them mixed up.
I can't think what
It's
what
not
it's called.
kintsugi. It's kintsugi's fixing bowls.
We can use
We'll
come to it.
insert later.
we'll think of it.
Yeah.
And what would you guys be doing if not this? So in a parallel universe, We Are Makers doesn't exist. What do you think you guys would be doing instead?
I'd like to think I'd be doing some sort of making. Obviously, I did leather as well. So Jack did a hobby like Kickstarter with the leather. You were working full time, but you wanted that creative. And you were like, I want to do some leather belts, and you started a Kickstarter, which really well. People are still wanting your belts, even though we don't do it anymore.
I got a message for someone the other day. It's like, hey, it's been 10 years since I bought the last belt. I think I need a new one. Can I get one of yours? I was like, I don't do it anymore.
I haven't got time.
And so when I was in that sort of period where I was living down south, not sure what I was wanting to do yet, I thought, well, why don't I start taking over your leather stuff and give me something to learn?
You've done a great job of it as well.
And it was great, but I had the same issues as I had with furniture. Like, how do people, stand up from the crowd and share your work? It was very difficult. So, I forgot where I was going with this question.
What would we be doing if it wasn't?
It would definitely be something making, whether it was leather work, whether it was maybe even trying pottery. I tried that in the States, loved it. It was a kick wheel, I loved it, rather than the electric wheels. Or like I tried engraving with Paul Hamler, I loved that. What else? I'd love to try glass work. There's so many things I'd love to try.
I suppose you get to try when you're with Make as well. You get to try.
Exactly. You did chainsaw carving with our last podcast last week. He made an owl. It was amazing.
That is so cool.
You turned a bowl with Christopher in Texas. We've got it on our kitchen table now. It's great. You get to try lots of different things. And
we'd definitely be doing something creative, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
I have a bit of a fascination with very, very efficient architecture, like tiny houses and shepherd's huts. I'd probably do something in that.
Yeah. Well, there's an engineer background too. That would satisfy her.
So I'd probably do something in that for a couple of years, and then I'd try something else, and I'd try something else. I think I'd like to do some precious metal work.
Yeah.
I'd like to do some, what was it you call it, perusery?
What's that?
It's the hammer and, it's like making these bowls, like the hand making of these bowls.
Yeah.
Like, try
just look at that. I don't even think anything. I'm like, that exists.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The time and effort that's gone into that.
I think, I don't know, but then there'd always be part of me that's like, what next? What next?
Yeah.
Whereas here we get to try it all.
Yeah, you can't imagine your life without this now. It must be hard.
Yeah.
You must be inspiring so many people to get into it.
I hope
so.
Yeah.
I really hope so.
Yeah. Especially that would be first time trying it for yourselves as well, and having people think, well, I can give that a go.
Exactly. It's not as hard as you think it is. I mean, someone said to us, what's success to you?
Yeah.
And we're like, what is success to us? And you said, what did you say? You had a
success, not just to us, but to We Are Makers, would be in 5 or 10 years meeting someone who was like, hey, I was at school, I was lost because of seeing your magazine, I seen other people were doing it. I'm now doing it and I'm doing it full time. That to me, that would be like mission complete. Cool.
Yeah. Do you know what's great is that you can, on our store you can see who buys the magazine, and we've got lots of different universities and schools that subscribe to our magazine, and they've got it in their library for inspiring others. I was like, great.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
I wish I had that when I was studying. So I'd be quite happy with that.
It's to inspire someone to do it into the passion. I love that. That's what success is. That is lovely. I wish I asked that question. And what are your plans for 2024? What are your goals for this year?
Yeah.
We've got Australia.
Be on the road more, I guess.
Yeah.
We've got Australia. We're going to come back from Australia, do another Scotland and Ireland podcast tour. And our podcast tours will turn more into just tours as we build more of our editorial stuff into the magazine, because some of it will be podcasts, some of it will be photo content, some of it will be whatever.
Yeah.
I'd like to release another couple of short documentaries. We've got 2 of them in the editing room right now that'll be coming out in the next few weeks.
Danny, our videographer, has been helping us kind of grow our little mini documentaries. So we're kind of hoping that they're just short, like 6 minutes or 8 minutes long. So, it doesn't take everybody's time up, but like it just gives you a nice look into their lives as a maker. But how did you get started? Where are you based? Where are you going with it, sort of thing. And it's just another avenue for us to tell their story. So we're excited about them.
Very excited about them.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the States at the end of the year. I'd like to be flying out to Texas tail end of August. We're in Washington State early September. Then probably fly over to the East Coast and make our way down to the East Coast and finish up in Georgia again.
Yeah.
Such an exciting, you don't know what you're going to do the next day. It's so exciting.
No. Yeah, it is.
Each day is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that and just continuing to build the subscriber base for the magazine.
Yeah.
That really is what affords us the ability to bring better content to people and feature more makers. Is since going quarterly, we opened up our magazine to subscriptions.
Yeah.
So people subscribing to the We Are Makers magazine, that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And is there anything coming up you'd like to promote? Anything anyone can get involved in?
I mean, it's just all our channels. Obviously we're at @weare_makers on everything.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to put an underscore in it, it's there. So whether that's Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok.
Subscribing to our YouTube is probably a big thing because it's crazy the amount of people who watch our YouTube but aren't actually subscribed. But subscribed does make a big difference.
84. I think I see that on that on another popular podcast about businesses and maybe diaries and CEOs. He says that on every video. He says
it's mental.
Not subscribe, and I think, God, as soon as I see a podcast, I'm like, boom, subscribe.
Yeah, so I'm much the same. Following on Spotify, We Are Makers podcast. That's great. It just gives all that stuff gives us real clear analytics. Maybe from an engineering background, it gives me really clear data points to look at to see where we either need to make improvements or where we need to double down on what we're already doing. And then, the biggest one would be the magazine, the wearemakers.shop. Subscribing to the magazine, you'll get 4 editions a year.
You'll never be disappointed.
It's wild. It's
one of the
good.
hardest things for us is to try and sell a magazine online.
Yeah.
People don't actually understand the quality of it because it's not like a glossy mag. It literally is high quality paper.
Yeah.
It smells, looks good. It's got all the good things you want in a magazine. So that's our plug.
That's our plug.
You guys are seriously impressive. You're doing about 10 people's jobs.
Yes.
We feel it.
Each, but you can tell the success of your business and what you do is down to passion and hard work. And I think that really comes across. And I think if people aren't already, people will end up buying for you guys. Yeah. And also everything is incredible. You guys are just so inspirational. I'm just like, right, I need to go out and do something now. That's what you make me feel like. So I imagine you inspire a lot. So thank you. I know it was a very, very long journey down. So thank you so much for making it.
You're most welcome.
Thanks for having us on.
We
It's always
just love doing this kind of stuff in person. I think, like when I spoke to you originally, there's something I think we're all lacking with
human connection.
Yeah.
It's so convenient to do stuff online and it doesn't make it the right thing.
You can see, like, if someone's going to speak, but online you have the delay and you're talking all over each other. And but you can see, you're right, it's so much better doing in person. I think this is the only 3rd one we've done in person now, so it has inspired me, I think, to keep doing in person. And hopefully I'll get over to America by doing that. I'm like, guys, it's time.
That's it. Because
get yourself on a mon on your way.
It's really good. It is really, really good. It's afforded us a lot of experiences. Doing We Are Makers has afforded us a lot of hardships, but the experiences that have come out the back of it are phenomenal.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing what you guys are up to in the future. I'll be looking on all the channels and I'll subscribe to the YouTube.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. Cheers.
Cheers.